We are back. So I uploaded a video yesterday and it was very somber and very just sad and totally not in character for me. But it's also because I've been dealing with this weird, I'm in this weird shedding phase where I'm getting rid of the things that no longer serve me and saying goodbye to old patterns. I'm saying goodbye to old patterns and old ways of thinking and old ways of being. And with that always comes a lot of difficulty, because when you're with this person that you've known for so long and you're having to get rid of all of these things that are no longer you, it's very testing. And I am happy that I have finally just decided to get rid of my old life and bury the old Grizzly, because the old Grizzly was holding me back. The old Grizzly was no longer serving me, and it served me at a time. It served me at a very vulnerable time in my life where I was keeping myself guarded as much as possible. And drugs and alcohol and cigarettes were a very easy scapegoat for me. And it was a way that I could keep myself from feeling things. And I want to talk about that today, because a lot of us are trying to run from how we feel. We're running away from the pain. We're running away from the depression. We're running away from the anxiety. We're running away from all of these things, right? And I'm here to tell you that running does absolutely no good. It's never done anybody any favors. And what you have to understand about life, and what I've come to understand about life, is that pain is a part of life. Joy is a part of life. Anger is a part of life. Happiness is a part of life. Sadness is a part of life. All of these emotions and all of these ways of being, they all encompass the human experience. And when people try to subdue that, right, a lot of people, they either, if they're happy, they try to enhance those feelings with alcohol or drugs or cigarettes or whatever the case is, right? And if they're sad, if they're angry, they try to bury all of that shit down, And the most common method that people use to bury all of their shit when they are sad, when they are angry, when they are depressed, the biggest thing, and I think the most common in our society, is alcohol, right? A lot of people, universally across the board, use alcohol to bury their problems. But the problem is that when your drunkenness wears off, when the high wears off, all of the problems are still there. And now you are left to deal with them not only with a sober mind, but with a hangover. And a lot of people would rather bury the problem and do their best to not feel the problem rather than dealing with it accordingly, right? And I know for me specifically, I have and have had for a long time a problem with confidence. I know this about myself. I know that I am working through some self-esteem issues. And one thing I've realized is that I think that having a high self-esteem comes with repetition, right? It comes from putting yourself in uncomfortable situations on a regular basis, whether that be socially, like going out into the world and meeting new people, or going to the gym, or learning a new skill, or doing what I'm doing right now, which is making YouTube videos. And literally, as I'm talking to you right now, I feel my confidence starting to come back. And as my confidence is coming back, I'm like, okay, why did I stop doing this in the first place? And I've talked about imposter syndrome on this channel before. And the way that you beat imposter syndrome is by not being an imposter. So yesterday when I uploaded that video where I was talking about how, I felt like a fraud, I felt like a con man, it's because I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. Well, if you find yourself in that boat, if you find yourself in that situation, all you've got to do is just practice what you preach, and you won't feel that way anymore. So I think that all of this just comes down to self-image, like I've talked about before. And when you see yourself as a drug addict, when you see yourself as an alcoholic, you will always be a drug addict and you will always be an alcoholic. It's until you adopt a new identity, right, that things will change. Once you adopt a new self-identity, you won't be a drug addict anymore and you won't be an alcoholic anymore. And this is going to sound a little controversial when I say this. Don't care, going to say it anyway. I think that we overprescribe therapy to people. I think there are a lot of people who seek out medication and they seek out therapy when they don't really need it. When really they need to get off their fat ass and go to the gym. When really they need to call a buddy. When really they need to go outside and get some sunlight. When really they need to quit that job and find one that they like. When really they need to just change up their routine and do something different. There's a lot of people who want to feel validated. They don't want to be fixed. They want to feel validated in their sadness or their anger, and that's bullshit. If you want to change, you have to change. So I literally decided that I'm just not going to drink anymore because it was becoming a problem for me. And, well, okay. Actually, I'm not going to say that I've quit completely. I will allow myself, with exception, to drink 1 or 2 glasses of red wine on occasion because I like the way it makes me feel very light and relaxed, puts me in a good mood. And on occasion, I have decided that I will have a glass or 2 of red wine. But that's it. Other than that, I've decided I don't drink anymore, I don't smoke anymore. I'm just staying away from it altogether. Because I know myself well enough to know that at this particular time in my life, if I were to pick those things back up again, I would abuse them. And me knowing that about myself causes me to act in a different way. I know I've kind of gotten off track here, but the gist of this video is that pain is a natural part of life. It's a natural process of the cycle of life. And we all go through it. It's inevitable. It's unavoidable. You're supposed to feel it. And it won't go away until you're in your grave. So you've got to learn how to deal with these things without having to use a substance, because that doesn't solve the problem. In a lot of ways, it actually makes it worse. And even if it does make it better temporarily, once the high wears off, all the problems are still there and you still got to deal with them. So I just want to encourage you today to look at your life, assess what's wrong and what can be fixed and what you need to improve upon. And once you have figured that stuff out, sit down and say, okay, what do I need to do to improve my situation? So take responsibility for your own life. Nobody's going to fix it but you. And be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And I will see y'all in the next video.